What's up, Kansas City? I'm your host, Glenn Brian Frizzell. Today we are taping in the historic Lincoln Building that's located right here in the 18th and Vine District. Today's special guest is currently seeking candidacy at large seat in the Kansas City, Missouri School Board District. If elected, she will serve a 5-year term. We are pleased beyond measure to have Mrs. Amy Hartsfield with us here today. Mrs. Hartsfield, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. We understand that you're very cultured. You have a wonderful resume. We want to get right to the issues,
Okay.
find out a little bit more about you. Can you tell us why you're seeking election to the school board at this time?
Absolutely. I'm, first of all, an avid believer in public education. I believe public education offers a person their entree into the world. You know, when I came to Kansas City, I was very excited about this city. It has so many great amenities, such a forward-moving, world-class city. But I was absolutely um, confused to understand that there was a public school system that was unaccredited. It's actually an oxymoron. When I look at all of the resources that are here, I expected this to be a city that had a world-class public education system. So I want to work with all of the stakeholders to make the school system what it should be, what it can be, and what it must be for our children.
And you come from a world-class background. Can you tell us a little bit about where you grew up, your childhood experiences, and where you chose to go to college?
Sure. I had a military background in the sense that my father was military, so we sort of moved around, and it gave me the opportunity to understand the importance of diversity. That's something I like also about Kansas City. I did my early education both in the United States and abroad as my father moved about. I did my college education in New York at Barnard College. I did an undergraduate degree in biology. At that time, I was planning to go into medicine, but as I looked more around, I sort of saw that was not my focus, went into business, did a degree also later in theology. I went to seminary school where I met my husband.
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta, the Interdenominational Theological Center. On graduation day, I was fortunate enough to have a diploma, and also we married.
Did you guys go overseas for your honeymoon?
No, we didn't. We went to the Bahamas.
Okay, all right. I hear it's excellent there.
Yes, it is. It is. After that, I went on to do terminal work in the area of counseling. I was very interested in trying to merge our understanding of faith and our understanding of ourselves. And so I've worked for years in counseling, both with the Georgia Department of Mental Health and working with seminaries.
And you talked about coming back to Kansas City and expecting to see a world-class situation, especially in the education system. Can you tell us, are you involved in any civic or community activities? Are you there at Dr. Hartsfield's church?
Yes, I am. My husband is pastoring at Metropolitan Missionary Baptist Church. I also work myself at Central Baptist Theological Seminary, which is actually in Shawnee, Kansas.
Dr. Marshall.
Yes, Dr. Marley Marshall. I work
She's
there.
spoken at friendship many occasions.
And one of the activities that I'm very involved in right now is that I work with students who are in the Missouri Options Program. Are you familiar with that program?
No, I'm not. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
There are students who, for various reasons, have not been able to complete their graduation with their class, but they have the skills that are necessary. So oftentimes they're between the ages of 17 and 21. So they're now trying to complete their requirements. And I work with many of these students to provide an opportunity for them to do their service work. And so I meet with them once a week for 4 hours, and they engage in various programs. We actually have a program that helps them to investigate the world of audiovisual development, another in audio recording and urban farming.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, for the next 5 minutes, Mrs. Hartsfield, and I should say Dr. Hartsfield because you have your PhD as well.
THD.
THD, and that is a
It's a doctorate in theology and pastoral counseling.
doctor in theology and pastoral counseling. Okay. Mrs. Hartsfield, let's focus in on your vision for the Kansas City community and the school board. State officials have withheld provisional accreditation from the school district in spite of improved academic performances. What can or what will you do if elected to the school board to help the school board district regain its accreditation?
Yes. Well, you know, you speak of a very unfortunate circumstance. You know, we understand that when you're given criteria and that when you have met that criteria or have earned the right that you should be awarded then. Unfortunately, for reasons that are not quite clear, the Kansas City School District is working towards meeting many of those criteria and have met the criteria necessary for provisional. But that is not our goal, provisional nor just accreditation. We're headed towards excellence. That is just a starting point. And last night I had the opportunity to sit in on the school board meeting, and I was just very excited to see the work that already is being done, not just to meet those bar benches, but to meet what we're capable of meeting. Our goal, like I said, is not set at provisional or at accreditation, but it's set at excellence. And I could see where they are making strides. You know, this is just not going to be a quick fix. It really is not. There are many challenges that are unique to this population. You know, we have a large population where English is the second language, but they're tested in English. Can you imagine going to France and having to take a class?
No, I speak very little Spanish. French, no, I would be at loss.
It does not measure your competency. You know, many of our students are very, very bright, capable of learning, but if English is not your first language and this is your introduction, it is going to be...
You would need a teacher. You would need someone to work with.
It's very difficult. So we have many. That is only one challenge that a significant component of our population is facing.
If you pay attention to the media, and I'm not sure how well versed we are with what they're saying, but there have been several possible rescue our district solutions presented to the public. What solution do you think is most feasible in moving forward? And I do have different plans here. We have the CEE trust plan. You're familiar with
Yes,
the
I am.
and is there any plan that you identify with, or?
Well, I've had the opportunity to look at various plans. I've made it my point when their presentations are made to be there to hear how they're presented and then to also listen to the comments from the community and questions. I've had opportunity to review them online and to meet in small focus groups to try to make sure that I'm understanding these issues. You know, I would have to say all the plans have some points worth looking at. But I think I was very impressed with the plan that's been put forth by the superintendent. You know, we are, first of all, having some stability now that we have not had in a while. You know, it's just like in a home situation. In order to start working with things, first of all, you have to get some stability. We're fortunate now to have a capable superintendent who has committed to work with us. He has given us a commitment of 3+1+1. We haven't had that commitment before. That is the foundation of beginning to not just set a plan, but to work the plan. You know, I think, once again, when we talk about plans that are going to be most significant for the achievement of our students, I think we need to look at local governance. We need to look at persons who understand and also care about the persons who are our clients, the students, the parents, and all the stakeholders. You know, it's going to take a city. It's going to take a city to really roll up its sleeves and come together to make this district what it can be and what it needs to be.
Community involvement is definitely in the key. Ms. Hartsfield, a recent article in the Kansas City Star stated that a state takeover of the unaccredited Kansas City School Board district is possible. What do you think? Is this just a scare tactic? Would the school board let this happen? Do you care to comment?
Well, you know, there is a responsibility on the state to make sure that children do have access to accredited education. So there are the responsibilities that the state have. I do not think at this point that we have evidenced the need for a takeover. We have said that we would like to have assistance, cooperation. You know, when you ask for help, you don't want to be taken hostage. And I think this city, I think the administration has proven that it is equipped to do what it needs to do and that we have the resources. So yes, I think we need to partner with the state, but I do not think the state needs to take over.
Very well then. I'd like to ask you about the community involvement. News reports show that parents and community activists are talking back. You mentioned being in the school board. How is that listening from the audience side, and if elected to the school board, how important is it to be able to talk and work with members of the Kansas City community?
Yes. You know, being elected to the school board is a public service position. I wanted that position, and I want that position now because I would like the opportunity to foster engagement of all the various stakeholders so we can take back the culture, the values of our community and help that to mold the education of our children. So engagement is absolutely necessary. Engagement on all levels, whether I'm talking to persons in the street, whether I'm talking to them at their community neighborhood meetings, whether I'm talking to them at PTA meetings, whether it's school board meetings, there's the need of engagement with all the stakeholders, parents, civic, philanthropy, business. All of these stakeholders have a role in creating the type of education that's necessary for our children.
That's awesome. How do you plan on working with the new members of the school board?
Well, I am really looking forward to that opportunity. Being a board means that you have to be part of a unified. You're not talking about individual persons, but we function as a board. I think I'm a good team player. I've been fortunate to have the opportunity to have served on boards in the past. I've served on college boards. I've served on here in Kansas City. I served on the PAL, Police Athletic League Board. I actually chair a board, a nonprofit board currently. So I'm aware of the governance policy, what a board is supposed to do, and how they go about doing it. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity of working with other persons who have skill sets, have the interest to make sure that we are effective in doing what we are called to do, working with all the components.
Yes, and part of that work is non-verbal. I kind of want to give you the opportunity to touch a little bit on what you said earlier. Is there anything specifically that you could change about the Kansas City education culture? And then I'll give you the floor for final words.
Well, first of all, I'm an advocate for universal pre-K. We have to start education early. We want all of our children to start from the ground floor together. So one, I'd like to see that implemented where there is universal pre-K for every child. I want the schools to be a safe environment for everyone who's there. Administration, teachers, students. When persons get to that venue, I want this to be a creative venue where they enjoy doing what they're there to do. Teachers being able to teach, students being able to learn. I understand my role as a board member is to determine and to implement policies that allows for this to happen. I'm looking at Kansas City as being a model for what public education has to look like. Public education is changing, especially when you talk about in urban situations. And we need to be setting the model of what it should be and what it can be.
Any final words?
Final words is that I'm just hoping that everyone will become engaged in this process. I'm asking everyone to come out and vote. I'd love for you to vote for me, but even if you don't vote for me, we have to vote. We owe this to our children. I want our children to have a strong academic record. I don't want it to be an option for a child to say, I don't have a strong academic record, therefore I felt I have now a criminal record. Our responsibility is to make these opportunities available, and I want to be a part of a city, a team that does that.
That is an excellent statement. With that, Mrs. Hartsfield, we'd like to thank you for joining us today on What's Up Kansas City. To our viewers, please check out all of the Kansas City School Board candidate videos online at www.whatsupkansascity.net. And remember, the sky is truly the limit. If you aim high and shoot for the moon, if you miss, at the very least, you can say you landed among the stars. Thank you.
CMG wants you to always remember, the victory we call success goes to the best prepared. When you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Thanks.